Hi, Jamie. So I'm glad you guys could come. We're just going to wait for Nan to be able to come in. Let me put the link in the chat again to the slides. So you want to make sure you have those open because she'll have you entering those in there. Nan is in charge of, Barker is in charge of the Cal State Teach program, and I'm probably going to completely mess up what her role is, and she's going to be mad that I said it in the wrong way. But Cal State teaches the online credential program. You have to be for elementary school teachers. It's not for secondary level. But what's really impressive to me is that I've gotten to work with the Cal State teachers a few times. She's had me come out and show them how to do different stuff with Google and some things, and they are just really unique group. And how they run their online program, I have been involved in some really good online classes that I've taken, and I've had some really awful online classes that I've taken. And so to see how committed to their students these teachers are, I think it's worth sharing, and because you will be in some capacity doing blended online as a teacher. So just project out 10 years from now, do you think you won't be doing something as an online component with students? You're crazy. It's most likely you will. And so I think that we have a really good opportunity just to kind of learn some best tricks. I mean, even if you're not teaching online, the whole blended thing of how can you be accessible to students, you know, outside of class. Okay, so hold on, I'm trying to help her get in. So while we're waiting for Nan, why don't we practice doing this? Can you go to the slides document, and if you click on the slides document, that's not it. If you open, I have too many windows open. Fresno State right here. You go to the slides document. So we're all on the first one. Yeah, there's a chat in there, but if you would, why don't you practice inserting a comment? So I like to use the keyboard shortcut Control-Alt-M. Control-Alt-M inserts a comment. So why don't you try inserting a comment there on the first slide just so you make sure you know how to do it. So Control-Alt-M inserts a comment. You can also right-click. Man! No stress. Together, what I'm having them do is just practice on the first slide inserting a comment. It's easy for them to leave a comment. Okay. And then, you guys, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, there's a plus button with a little drop-downy arrow. Let me do this on screen share. So with screen share, I hover over my video screen, and then the options show up on the left. And the second option is to screen share. So if you see my screen, you see there's a plus button. Don't click the plus button. You click the little arrow next to the plus button. And the green one lets you insert a slide. So why don't you insert a slide with the green, where it gives you an option to put your name, so it's got the green bar at the top. And why don't you tell me one thing that you think makes good online instruction? Why don't you just go ahead and insert a slide. And no worries if you pick the wrong one. It's easy to change. Just go to layout and change it to green. So there you go. So Nan, I hope this is okay. I just thought I would get everybody doing something while you got yourself settled. Let's put them all on the slides. Right? So Nan, would you like to go through what the students said, or would you like me to?
You know what, Alice? Unfortunately, you got dropped. The audio got dropped. So okay. After you greeted me, I didn't hear any more of it. So
no problem. So I have everybody in the Google Slides doc inserting a practice slide.
Okay.
So that they're ready for you. So I asked them to put one thing that makes good online instruction.
Beautiful.
So do you want to read them and just kind of make some comments, or would you like me to do that?
I can do that.
Perfect. So whenever you're ready, no stress, Nan. Once you go to this, do you know how to do screen sharing?
You know what? Remember, I am actually on my phone.
Okay, so what we'll do is I'll screen share the slides, Nan.
Okay.
And then what I'll do is you just tell me what slide you're looking at.
Okay, you know what? Why don't you just go ahead and do the comments on the slides?
Okay, so I'm looking at, sounds good. Starting with slide number 1, do you want to start by introducing yourself, Nan? Or do you
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay, I am Nan Barker with Cal State Teach here at Kremen School, and I'm also involved with all the other credential programs on this campus also, or the Kremen credential programs on this campus also.
And she's awesome. All right. So I appreciate you doing this for us, Nan. So I'm just going to real quick go through what everyone shared. So Christina says online sharing is awesome. And I agree. You know, having that collaboration where you share together is super cool. Online instruction allows for real-time feedback and assignments. Thank you, Katie. Daisy says teachers are available throughout the day to assist students. Online instruction allows for immediate feedback between teachers and students, which further develops a relationship between teachers and students. Antonio, I love that you mentioned the word relationship because I think, well, I know there's a lot of research that really supports the idea that the instructor needs to be present and you feel like that you're making those connections with them in order for learning to be really effective. Teachers being available throughout the day, I think I read that one already. Sorry. Jamie, immediate interaction between teacher and student. Easy communication, thank you, Cody. And then Aaron added in active and constant communication between the professor and student, otherwise it can get pretty confusing. So, Nan, if you'd like, so now you're on slide number 10, what used to be your number 2, but if you'd like to just share about Cal State Teach, and go ahead.
Sure. So Cal State Teach is an online environment for the academic work. And then our candidates are in a school right from the beginning, 2 days per week. And then the second term, 2.5 days. And then the final student teaching is all day, every day. So what we know, our candidates tell us about Cal State Teach is they really like the flexibility about it. So although some of the earlier comments were that you had immediate feedback from your faculty, that's possible when you are what we call in a synchronous environment, meaning like what we have right now, all of us are on at the same time. Most of what we do online with Cal State Teach, however, is asynchronous. It means that the candidates go themselves to the website and they have readings and they have various ways that they respond to the reading. The second thing, in an online environment, there are so many different ways that you can demonstrate knowledge that you've learned what's there, and that's one of the advantages of online. You know, sometimes you create a video, sometimes you participate in a discussion board, sometimes you create something that you share with your faculty. So there are just lots of different ways that understanding can be demonstrated. We don't have any actual tests in Cal State Teach other than some of they're called teaching performance assessments that all credential candidates are required to do. We do have those, but other than that, the way that our students demonstrate knowledge is basically not through tests. And it's not very often through a written paper either. Typically it's through a model lesson or it's through some kind of collaborative effort with another person.
If you
so
don't
we have.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say I got my master's online and was working on my doctor online, and I had 0 tests as well.
So what our candidates really like about the Cal State Teach program is that they're doing academic work online and they're also participating in an elementary school classroom at the same time. So they really like that. So the ways, this is slide 11, the ways that faculty connect. What are the faculty connections in our program? The number one thing is faculty are very accessible to our candidates, but not necessarily instantaneously. They use email, they use video conferences, they use site visits, phone calls, text are all the different ways that faculty stay in contact with the teacher candidates. And they don't necessarily use the same method for all of their students. They can just match with what works best for the teacher candidates. What's really nice when they give feedback on assignments, you know, the assignments stay online. The candidates can go back and look at them. The faculty put their comments on them, and they stay there for the rest of the term. So it's very easy to get back to an assignment and get back and see what your faculty have said about it. They also make connections for with their students through the site visits. They, because our candidates are in the classroom working out in the schools, our faculty go to where they are. So our Fresno region actually serves students anywhere in 34 counties of northern and central California. So our faculty live throughout the region also. So they go and make, usually it's about once a month that they make a site visit and have a chance to meet with their candidates, and then they also have conferences in person following the visits. All right, so I'm going to take a minute, let you guys put any comments that you want in if you want to add something at this point.
And I want to encourage you that it's okay to speak up and ask Nan a question. I'm sure that she would enjoy answering any of them. Or if anyone just wants to make up a question, you know, for fun. But if you want to insert questions on the side of the document with comments, that'd be a good way to do it as well. But don't be afraid. Now, I notice we have kind of a full room. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we have one person viewing online. So for our one viewer, hopefully you're able to access into the document as well, but I am screen sharing for you. If you are watching this after the fact, make sure that you are doing some things to really demonstrate active participation. All right, let's see what people say here, Nan. Let me get rid of my comments. All right, so it doesn't seem like we have any questions yet.
Okay.
Go to slide 12?
Sure.
All right.
So this is this has information on it, but I really wanted to show you this as a sample of the way that a lot of the curriculum is demonstrated in the Cal State Teach program. So there are a lot of things that you can write in paragraphs, or you can make a video of somebody saying, or you can put on a PowerPoint. We've got some really outstanding faculty that are able to take our curriculum and put it into a visual image. So you can see this is an example. It's called the Program Outcomes Overview. But it also gives you a visual of how the program is established. So at the foundation down at the bottom, at the triangle, the widest part, is a program study guide. And there's also a pacing guide to help students know when they open a module, is this a module that they should be able to finish in a week, or is this a module that's going to take 3 or 4 weeks? It just depends on the content, how long it takes to complete all of the readings and the activities with it. Then a big part of the Cal State Teach program is the reflections, the professional reflections. And in that, we ask our candidates to not only reflect on what they did as an activity, but also to reflect on the readings, you know, and the foundation that we're asking them to use in the classroom. So the reflections are...
Oh, sorry. Are you on the same slide number 12?
I am on slide number 12, yes.
Good. When you're done talking about that, maybe we could have a discussion about reflections, if you don't mind.
Sure, sure. Why don't we have a discussion about reflections right now? Because I think it's important. The question that we're asking our candidates to reflect on is not only what have you learned, but the most important question is how will your teaching change as a result of what you just learned in this study guide. So in this model, it's called Describe It. It's part of the process of being able to reflect is learning the words and the terminology that go with the field.
So in CI 149, I asked the students to do the same thing. I want them to reflect every week. And for me, that's the most important part of the class. Have you heard any feedback from the Cal State teachers as to how the reflection, if it impacted them or if it was busy work?
Oh no, the reflection becomes their primary learning. I mean, they've read something, they went and tried it, and then now they have both the application and the book knowledge, and that's when they're real thinking about, you know, what would I do differently? What did I absorb easily from what I read? What did I apply? How did it work for me? How did it not work for me? You know, how did my students respond? What do I need to do differently to get more engagement from my students next time?
Those are some great prompts. It's a good thing this is recorded. Might want to go back and copy those down. So, how about you guys, Antonio or Angelica, Cody, anybody? Do you want to give some thoughts on how you might or might not use reflection with your students? Anyone?
I guess you could use them to improve for future lessons, I guess, taking in feedback from the students.
Oh, I so love that you said, I'm not even screen sharing, you can't see me. I love that you said that. Listening to what the students said as feedback and reflecting on that. I don't feel enough teachers really do that.
So
Yeah,
like, I have a question. So let's say we are getting the students to reflect, but they're coming up with very like vague answers, and like you're not really sure if they're actually getting the concept, and you don't want to like make testing like a super important part of the class without, you know, keeping them, I guess, interested.
Nan, I told you I had awesome students this semester.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, I think one of the things that we see as our candidates themselves learn how to reflect on their own learning, they can actually teach their students that they're working with. So to determine whether we're talking about our teacher training students or whether we're talking about students in the classroom, we call our Fresno State teacher candidates, we call them candidates, teacher candidates, and we refer to the others as students. So as candidates themselves are learning to reflect, they actually can teach those skills to their students at the same time.
So, but what if the candidates are very insipid or vague in their reflection? How does that get taught?
How does that get taught? By faculty feedback. They'll send their stuff back. They'll send them back. You know, this is, you know, this reflection isn't connected to your reading. I don't see where there are examples from the class that you taught, the lesson that you taught. Those kinds, they can provide that kind of feedback.
So it's like more important to be descriptive. Oh, cute.
Yeah, I think in our program we actually have examples. We have examples of reflections that have all of the components that we're looking for.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything they would like to contribute about reflections? Anyone dying on the ones I'm making you do? I know. Really, that is, for me, the most important part of the class, because that's when you start thinking about what does my future classroom look like. And if you're not picturing what your future classroom looks like, it's going to be hard going when you are just dumped into a class. All right, Nan, are you still on slide 12, or do you want to go to 13?
I am still on slide 12. Um, what we like to happen next in Cal State Teach, we have a kind of an open discussion board. Sometimes in an online class, you have a discussion board where you are required to like respond to a particular thing, or somebody else puts up a post and then you have to respond to it. Our research in Cal State Teach tells us that that's not a very deep level of learning. So what we've started doing is our discussion board actually stays open all the time. And anyone, where all of our students are grouped, there are about 60 students in each of the discussion board groups, and anybody can post anything. And so you'll see on this next level, outcome 2, as participation in your electronic classroom, and it says discuss it in the model. And this is where we want our Cal State Teach candidates to be sharing with each other. You know, I learned this, I tried this lesson, I did it in the classroom, and it didn't work at all. Do you have any suggestions for me? And so their peers will actually participate and say, you know, I tried that and I modified it in this way and it worked a lot better. So it's not enough just, you know, the bottom layer was to read about it or learn about it. The next layer was to describe it. And now we're at the level where you actually discuss it and you get input from other people. And then the final level is when you take all of that feedback, and then the next time when you try something, you do it a little bit differently because of all the ways that you've learned about it through the curriculum and through your experience and through the discussion. Okay, let's look at slide 13. This is just another model. So you start with term 1. You can see in the red circle there are 9 modules, and they end with a culminating project. So each of the modules are building some part of that culminating project. Over in the right side you see infusion of new paradigms, 21st century skills, and brain rules. Those are just some research we know about how children learn, and we try and have our candidates focus on the research of how we know children learn while they're planning their lesson and in their reflections. And we do a lot of what we call problem-based learning, where it's a little more open-ended. Some of the assignments in the Cal State Teach curriculum, they're kind of vague. They don't say do this, 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 and this. They just give a general description of something, and then our candidates have an opportunity to be creative and do it their own way. All right, did I lose the audio again? Are you still there?
No, I'm here. I just had a little noisy person on my lap, so I muted it.
Good deal. Okay.
Does anyone have anything about project-based learning? That's kind of a hot topic that you might not have heard, but definitely there's a lot of schools that are starting to trend that way, and to think more around, and that's where you're going to see not having tests, but more so students doing an authentic project. Has anyone heard of this or have questions? Would anyone prefer that to the sit and listen and take a test model?
Huh. Yeah, it sounds definitely a lot more engaging.
I think it is. Anyone else? Anyone want to say they prefer the take notes and take a test model? You have a quiet bench today, Nan. All right, are we on slide 14? And again, there's no pressure to go the whole hour, so whatever works for you, Nan.
Okay. Let me just share a couple more things, and then I would love to ask a few questions too.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay, so in Cal State Teach, the way that our candidates receive feedback is obviously through submitted assignments. They also receive feedback. We talked about the discussion board a little bit. They get feedback from their peers as well as faculty if needed, but most of the time faculty stay out of the discussion boards. They just go in and watch for when students need information like something related to the curriculum. And then they give feedback in the observations. And then we also do something at Cal State Teach where our candidates videotape themselves. They design a lesson and they actually send the lesson to their faculty for feedback. And it's all an electronic lesson plan. So the faculty can put feedback on the lesson before it's taught. And then the candidates videotape. And let me go here to slide 15. Is another one of our kind of visual learning supports on what we call it our observation event. Let me see. I don't see it quite yet. Alice,
I'm sorry, what are we doing?
slide 15.
Oh, 15. Sorry, I didn't hear that part.
There it is. So this is our candidates. They create a lesson plan. We call it the LPA, is the lesson plan assistant. That's the electronic lesson plan. And then the candidates videotape their lesson and attach it. And we also have software for them to go in once they are they've made their video of themselves teaching. They can go in and stop it and put comments for their faculty. You know, this part that's coming up, I really would love to see your feedback. It didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. Do you have suggestions? Or the comment might be, you know, I'm so proud. This is really working great, even better than I thought. So just the communication between faculty and candidates can happen through the annotation on the video. Then our candidates actually select which, we have kind of some targets of teaching skills that the state of California requires that all teacher candidates develop. And so we let our candidates select which of those. They're called teacher performance expectations. Our candidates for each lesson, they select just 2 or 3 of the 11, and that's what they ask their faculty to really focus on and provide them feedback for. So the faculty then observes the lesson. The lesson, even though it's videotaped, the faculty can also observe it in person, and then they do a post-conference, they do a post-observation conference, and then they provide written feedback on the electronic lesson plan for the candidates. So I'm really curious about you guys. I see some of your faces going by. I'm sorry, I was having some technical issues with my computer here at my desk. So I just have you on a phone screen, so you're not very big while you are just in an observation mode. So I would love it if you would each take a turn so that you talk and that we can see I can see your face a little bit larger. So if you could just like tell me your name and tell me what kind of credential you're hoping to get in the future.
So why don't I go through just to make sure we're all in the same order. Angelica, would you mind starting and telling her your name and what kind of credential you're looking for?
Yeah, okay, so my name's Angelica, or Angelica is fine as well, but I'm like hoping to become a math teacher, and so yeah, I was just trying to do like maybe high school level teaching. I really feel like I connect well with that age group because I'm like a volleyball coach as well, and so I feel like being a math teacher is really important to be encouraging too. And so I feel like I could really help like kids in that subject. So
that sounds great. That sounds really great.
Antonio?
Well, yeah, I'm Antonio. I'm hoping to get my credential in English. I also want to teach in high school. Ideally, I would want to teach in an ELD class and teach English to English learners. I currently, where I work, that's what I do now. I help the teacher out, but I wanna be the one teaching the class to English learners.
Very cool.
Christina. Uh-oh, it's okay. Do you want to just type it into the chat, Christina? No crisis. I do like the pink headphones, though. And I really appreciate you guys being willing to be on video. It does help to make a personal connection, but it is not required. You are allowed to turn your video off. Some days I'm feeling not video worthy. But at the same time, I also try to realize that I'm an adult and I shouldn't care so much. It says Christina, she wants to be a physical education teacher. So thanks. Cody, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Cody. I'm hoping to get my credentials in U.S. history. Lately, past couple weeks, I've been observing in a U.S. history class, and he uses, which I thought was cool. He has basically like PowerPoints and lectures that the students watch at home, and then they come and discuss some of the points he put in the lecture. So
he does the flip teaching model.
Yeah.
Daisy, are you able to speak in?
Yeah. I'm majoring in Spanish. I want to be a Spanish high school teacher.
Fantastic. And Erin?
I'm Erin. I'm planning on getting my credential for high school in art.
I am a big fan of the arts and how those really do support other subject areas.
Definitely.
And Jamie? Jamie able to... Okay, there we go. Jamie's getting her credential in history at the secondary level. Are you at Fresno State right now? Cool. All right, back at you, Nan.
Thank you. Thank you so much for, I don't like talking to the screen. I like talking to people, so that really helps me to see who you are. I would love to answer any questions that you have about the process of becoming a teacher. Cal State teaches, of course, a multiple subject credential program, but I'm also very involved with other credential programs here at Fresno State, and I would love to answer any questions you might have just about how you go about getting a single subject credential, what horror stories you've heard about, or what, things that you're concerned about.
I was actually wondering, is it possible to get 2 subjects at once?
It is possible. What you need to do, well, technically you can't get them at the same time, but you can get them very close. So once you earn what they call a base credential, either a single subject credential or a multiple subject credential, it's fairly easy to add another credential. What you have to do is you have to meet the subject matter competence. So that means typically that you have to have a degree in that subject, or you have to have passed one of the CSET tests. So you are interested in art, and what's your other credential interest?
Special education.
Okay, now
It's
that
probably different.
is not an add-on. Special ed is not an add-on to one of the other base credentials because it is its own credential. But you definitely can get a special ed credential, and anything that you take for your single subject credential, they probably won't require you to take again for your special education credential.
Okay. Would you say it would be
Oh, sorry, that's my phone. And it's not.
Would you say it would be better to do the special education credential and then add on art as opposed to doing art and then special education?
Okay, the problem there is that you cannot add a base credential. Alice, can you take over here for a couple minutes? I really do need to talk to her.
And let me know when you're back.
Okay.
I muted me. That doesn't work. Okay, so I will do my best to answer questions, but Nan's obviously a much better resource than I am. For those of you who don't have questions about the credential program or want to hear about it, you are welcome. I never want to hold people hostage. I'm not like that. I hope that you participate in things because you find them interesting and relevant, and not because I make you. So the question was about doing the special ed with the art, which one you should do first. It depends, because I mean, this is hopefully not too NPC, but you know, once you get into special ed, you don't get out. Like, they won't let you not do special ed because it's so highly needed. And so I know some people, they have a special ed credential and then they switch districts and they don't tell them they have a special ed credential because they're just, it's a lot of paperwork. I'm just gonna like throw that up front. Is, you know, if you're gonna do special ed, do it because you have a real passion to help kids who are disadvantaged in the system, and because you want to be their advocate. If your motivation is because you'll pretty much be guaranteed to get a job, which is true, it's going to be a long teaching career for you because it is an enormous amount of paperwork, and so you got to be willing to say that, you know, I'm willing to do this because I'm really advocating for kids. So I would advise that you do the art and then the special ed, just so you really get some solid teaching experience in there and doing something that you is your first passion. And then, you know, and the fact is that once you get your special ed credential, that could take you in some directions that you're not. They might end up having you do more special ed than art if they need it. And I see that quite a bit with other areas as people, you know, like my husband he's a history teacher, he has a degree in history, but they needed him to teach English. So it's like, could you get an add-on for English? And so he's like, okay. And now he teaches all English all day. I mean, that's because that's what they need. So once you have a credential in an area and you have a job, you don't always get a lot of choice to say, well, I'd rather do art and not special ed. If they need you in special ed and you have a special ed credential, then that's what you're going to be doing. So I think that it's going to depend on you. I'm a little concerned with just the amount of paperwork that it is, that I don't want you to be discouraged with being a teacher or doing special ed, because I think that would be an awesome thing for you to do, and it'd make you super valuable. But I would do my student teaching in art if I were you.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Nan might have a different one. Does anyone else have any advice? You guys probably hear stuff I don't hear. All right. How hard would it be to add on history to my physical education? I have no idea, because it depends on, you have to pass the CSET, right? And here's the problem. They keep changing all the rules, so it's definitely different than from when I got my credential. So when I have a degree in math, but I on purpose did not take the math classes that you needed to take to be a teacher, because I didn't want to teach. Like, this job is bogus. It's like so much work and for not enough money, and I have a degree in math, so it's going to go be an actuary. So I started teaching, and then I had to get a supplemental, you know, credit to pass the test, even though I got my degree. But those tests are not the same tests that they ask you to do now. And so it's going to be just a matter of you study. From my understanding, they're not super hard if you have a pretty good basis in it and you do some studying. The math one might be a little bit harder because you got to do calculus. But if you do math, you will always have a job, and you can basically do whatever you want because everyone always needs a math teacher. And Fresno State has the MISTI program where they will help you pass those tests, and they'll pay for it. They'll even pay for you to take it more than once. So they have training classes for free, and then they'll let you take the tests for free because we really need some good math teachers. And then I'll let Nan, when she comes back, talk about secondary teaching and credentialing, because that's really, really not something I am an expert at. What program? What do you mean? What program?
The math program you were talking about, or to help you pass the CBEST?
MISTI, I think so. It's Dr. Bolin. Her name, not Roy Bolin. I'm like having like a panic freeze. I can totally picture her face right now. She's blonde and super nice. Carol Bolin Fry. Carol Bolin Fry. CBEST, I'm just going to say it better be easy. Legally, they're not allowed to put anything on that test a kindergarten teacher would not use. So, yeah, Carol's office is upstairs on the second floor of the Kremen building. The office is room 250. Just a little bit further down the hall is the Misty office. I think it's MISTI. And so if you're thinking at all of math or science or getting an add-on in math or science, you'll be able to get a job almost instantly with an add-on for that. And Fresno State will help you to do it. So just seriously, Carol is so nice. Just go down there, knock on the door, send her an email. The email's on the door. I can actually look up her email. Give me 2 seconds. You should do that. Someone else asked me a question.
I know that for some subjects, I know that it's this way for art and music, that you don't have to take the CBEST or the CSET so long as you take the certain amount of classes, because like music and art, there's like you could learn all the terminology for something, but you wouldn't know how to do ceramics. You would just know all the terms for ceramics. So they have an option. I don't know if they do that for every subject, but I know that they do that for art and music.
I'm pretty sure they don't. Unless someone knows differently. Yeah, so Jamie says he said it's different. There's a substitution for history as well. Yeah, get a history, add on. You just got to pass the test, I think. And I think they changed the requirements so you don't need so much math in order to get the math add-on. But seriously, you will always have a job. But same problem, like I said, with special ed, right? You get an add-on in math, but you want to teach history or PE. There might be a point where you're just teaching all math and no history or PE. So you are running that risk because they're going to put you where they need you. So there used to be this thing called the lifetime credential, which is before my time, but some of the teachers that I taught with had one. And back in the day when you got a credential, it was a credential, and you could teach anything. You could teach art, home ec, PE, math, science. It didn't matter. A teaching credential was a teaching credential. So anybody who had that lifetime credential, even when I was teaching, when I started teaching in 1999, there were several of them that had one. Pretty much all retired now. But they would just, yep, you're teaching art. Wait, I'm a math teacher. Nope, I'm teaching art. It's like wherever they need you because the credential would let you, right? How long does it take to get an add-on credential? It shouldn't take you more than a semester. You just got to do the tests. Pass it. Apply for it.
Okay. You just need a CSET in it after you pass the credential program?
We're going to let Nan confirm that when she gets back on the line, but I am fairly certain that is true.
All right.
There's an application, you fill out the application that you have to do all your things and you put your test scores on it. I think so. There's no student teaching or anything that you have to do within the subject area. I'm almost positive of that.
Okay.
That's kind of scary to me, to be honest.
There's lots of things that are scary to me, to be honest. Obviously, we want what's best for kids, and there's this push-pull with, we want to help people to achieve their dreams of being a teacher, but they may or may not be highly qualified, interested. On this end, we're interested in helping you be a teacher, but on the other end, we want kids to have the best teachers, and so sometimes that's a conflict. And the reality is we need people who will teach the kids. If you get super strict, then there's just not enough people, so there's no good answer. In fact, right now, there's a teacher shortage. So That's going to mean that some people that maybe wouldn't normally get hired to get a job because they're not quite teacher material, they'll get hired. And you can just hope your kid doesn't get in their class. I have 5 kids, and I always wondered what kind of mom I would be. And the answer is that one. I taught in Clovis for 14 years, and I know how it works. Crazy mom gets what she wants. And I'm not there to make friends. I'm there to advocate for my kids. And so I am it's not good. But the principal every year picks my kids' teachers. Make sure that I get ones that are more in line with my pedagogy. So
Wow.
I'm labeled crazy lady, but my kids have the best teachers, so any other questions, you guys? Nan's back. Yeah, I don't think I can unmute you, Nan. Can you manually unmute yourself? So there's like on your phone or wherever it is that you were talking, there should be like a microphone icon. You can just like tap on it. Maybe you can type an answer. Well, no, you're not in the chat. Okay.
There it is. I'm so glad. I didn't know you muted me.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I muted you, and then I ranted.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed it. We were talking about an art credential and a special ed credential. I'm so sorry. That was my boss, and I'll just tell you, it was kind of a big fat deal because we had a huge miscommunication, so I'm sorry to interrupt too.
Not a problem.
I just need to find out if I was driving to Monterey tonight, tomorrow morning, or tomorrow night, so we got that worked out. Anyway.
So my advice was do the art credential first and the special ed second so that she does her student teaching and what she's really passionate about. Good advice or bad advice?
I'm trying to think of the order that you can do the various credentials. I think actually if you're going to do art and special education, you probably should take the classes for both credentials kind of at the same time. And then alternate, do one student teaching and then do the other student teaching.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and another one was just about the credential program for Cal State. Or how long does it take to get an add-on credential?
It's just however long it takes you to pass that CSET and take one course. It's just a methods course in the second area for most credentials. Some credentials like math, it's more than one course.
Can you address secondary teaching and credentialing with Cal State?
Cal State teaches only authorized for multiple subject credentials, so we don't do any single subject credentials.
You can't get into her program, which is a shame because the teachers in there seriously are super awesome, and you guys all just stuck with me. Because
I want to say too, those of you that are thinking about doing a single subject credential, we are really working hard to get more of the credential classes for a single subject credential online, so that you don't necessarily have to do like a fully online option, but it's not all set up yet, so this might change. But you might be able to take like 1 or 2 of your classes that you need to take online in a semester, so you could cut down some of your driving time for some of you that are commuting.
Does anybody have anything that they're finding as an obstacle for the credential program that maybe we could address? No?
I don't know if this is like a thing, but I personally find that when you go and look it up on the website, it's very confusing. I would say rework the website.
You know what? That's a really good suggestion. Alice, I have very little volume on my phone. Is that something that you could help me with?
No, you'll have to push the up button.
No, I already did. Sorry, it's on full volume on my phone, but it's still not very loud.
We hear you great.
Okay, then I won't talk any louder. You guys talk a little bit louder. I'll be good.
Can you hear me okay?
What?
Can you hear me okay?
No, not really.
Oh, well then them talking louder is not going to help.
That's okay. Let me answer the question about the confusion with the credentials. Single subject credentials are very different than multiple subject credentials because you have somebody in your department that is responsible for credentials, and you have to take classes from the School of Ed in the single subject credential program. So sometimes it's not real clear what the expectations are, but you really do need to meet with the person in your department that's responsible for credentials, and you also need to meet with somebody here in the Kremen School that does advising for a single subject credential.
Anybody else have a question? Nan's a great resource.
Let me add on one more thing too. Sometimes you have required courses in your department that are required for the credential that are different than your degree, what you need for graduation. So make sure you check the catalog for the credential classes that are required in your area of study.
Okay, anything else? We've got Nan's full attention. Which actually
You better grab it while you have it. It could be fleeting. It could go again anytime.
And a credential at the same time.
Say that again?
Can you get a BA and a credential at the same time?
You know, there is such a thing. It's called a blended program, but it was not very popular because of the way the pay scales work in the schools. Your pay is based on the number of units you've completed beyond your bachelor's degree. So if you do a combined bachelor's degree and teaching credential, you're basically limiting your salary for the rest of your career, because that where you start, your bachelor's plus the number of units that you start with, that doesn't ever change. You start with, usually you have BA plus 30 or BA plus 45 when you start working in the schools. Every year that you work, you get an increase in salary, but after that, and you also can move across on the pay scale. Every 15 units that you complete, you get a pay raise.
That varies by district how that works.
Say that again?
Clovis didn't do it that way, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway.
It's based on units and different things, but how you move across the pay scale isn't necessarily 15.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's each district, if you want to know what your pay is going to be in the school district that you want to work for, if you go to the county office, there's a county superintendent of schools in every single county. And so if you go to whatever your county office of education is, you will see a listing of all the schools in your county, and you can just go in and look for the pay scale. There's a tremendous difference in pay depending on the school district that you go to work for.
There can also be differences in benefits.
Yeah, it's a little harder to find all of the benefits online.
So like in Clovis, I paid nothing for my benefits, but I had lower salary. But then my husband, he makes more money, but then he has to pay $800 a month in benefits. So no taxes on benefits.
If you take EHD 50 with Dr. Schlievert, she spends a lot of time like explaining it and going over it with the students so that they like understand.
Pay scale? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Is there any questions you guys have just about teaching or the credential program or anything? And again, I'm not holding you hostage. You're more than welcome to leave I taught high school math for 14 years, and then I'm in classrooms all the time working with teachers, and then Nan's really working solidly with credential programs. So, any other questions? Okay, Nan, super appreciate you taking the time, especially since you're still at Fresno State, obviously. Super nice of you to, I think that she froze, so she's going to be super mad to see what it froze as. So yes, Nan's email is nanb@csufresno.edu. So NANB. So thanks, you guys. I hope this was worth your time. I'm really trying hard to set up some things that'll be useful to you and that you want to do, which is another reason I like to give you some choices. So I will see you at one of the discussion chats this week. Bye.
All right, thank you. Bye.